So our first finding that we just saw a video on, we asked our panel up here, and they're from various schools, so I'm going to have them introduce themselves, and then they're going to address that first finding, kind of how they have that focus on our first finding. So go ahead, Jessie. Introduce what school and your name.
I'm Jessie Funk. Can you hear me? Yeah. I'm Jessie Funk, and I teach at Brown Elementary and Byron Center. And as was stated in the video, reading is our bottom line. We have an unnegotiable block of time where students are reading in the literacy block. We find it very important that they have that time in all grade levels, to have that time on text in both nonfiction and fiction, and that they're reading books that are at their appropriate level in order to see the greatest success and growth.
Awesome.
Hi, I'm Holly Bostad. I am a kindergarten teacher at North Godwin Elementary, and I feel we do have some pretty high expectations, and I feel if the administrators are expecting, then the teachers have to find out a way to make it work, and then if we're expecting from the kids, then the kids are finding a way to succeed. And we do a lot of both whole group teaching and then a lot of small group guided reading as well. So our main focus might be teaching main idea during our whole group lesson, and then we're carrying that over into small group. And like my principal said, we're learning like 75 to 100 sight words and expected to read like at a level 7 at the end of kindergarten, and many kids are way surpassing that. And I think just having those books in their hands and being expected to do that.
I'm Michelle Foreman Martsky. I'm from Sunfield Elementary. I teach 2nd grade. We also use a 2-hour block for our reading and language arts. We pay a lot of attention to the needs of each student. We look at their needs and we try to match those needs. Do they need work on fluency or comprehension or something like that? And I work very closely with my parapro, and I write plans, lesson plans based on those needs for myself and for my para. I write them by the week, but they adjust by the day depending on how things go with drill and practice and things like that. So our communication is open at all times to make sure that we are fulfilling those needs. And we also do a lot of, we start with whole group in the morning, and then we go to small group, individual, one-on-one, to try to meet all those needs.
I'm Kim Allston. I teach at Lakeshore Elementary in Holland. Kind of similar to what you guys said, we do the 90-minute uninterrupted reading block for upper L, 120 minutes for lower L, and kids are not getting pulled at that time for anything, so they're getting intense instruction. We do the whole group mini lessons, and then we break out into small groups and then individual as well. Kids are reading with partners, they're reading alone, they're getting pulled by teachers to work on whatever skills they need. So those are some of the things we do. The materials we use vary. We use the Mesa Reading Workshop, mixed in with the Houghton Mifflin Basel. We also use the Daily 5 and intense vocabulary instruction. We've purposely tried to add more of that this year, but kids are reading that whole time.
Excellent. A lot of talk about the uninterrupted block. Could somebody talk about using reading data? Because I know that came up frequently throughout your school. So any of you or a few of you talking about how do you look at that data? Do you look at it by yourself in isolation or with others?
At our building, we take time to collect the data of the students reading and then meet as grade level with administrators and parapros and put the students into groups according to needs that they have, so that teachers can work in small groups with students across the grade level on a particular area. And then we revisit the data and adjust the groups and tweak the groups, and that has been very helpful.
Go
I
ahead.
think it's
Helen.
really similar, doing the same thing, coming together, looking at the data together, and then deciding, okay, what are we going to do with this? So we have this, now what are we going to do with this? And then constantly changing it. So when this child, okay, gets this skill, let's move this child out, and let's can bring this child here. And so they're constantly moving groups and constantly focused that way.
So if you have parapros helping during that time or parent volunteers, if you do, what training do they have? do you guide them through with what they should do with the students?
Our parapros are trained right along with us. We do a lot. The school will train, like for the structured language and things like that. We have a Title I person that will help train all the paras, and then to make sure it's individualized for the needs in my classroom, I also work with my para each day on what I want her to do. As I learn new things, I want her to understand what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, and then she goes along with me on that.
I know we work as a grade level quite a bit, and we sit down weekly and look at our data, whatever that may be, from the Dibbles or running records or Discovery Ad assessments, and we look at our students as a grade level. So we look at the needs, and even if it's someone that's not in my class, I might take them in my group and work on a fluency group, or somebody else will work on this skill. So we work together and we kind of look at all the kids as a whole, as the grade level.
Excellent. Thank you. We will have that question and answer period, remember, later, so if you're dying to ask a question, write it down, because we'll bring the principals up, but they will also bring some of the staff members up with them. So think of your question, write it down. It might be covered in the series of findings we continue. That's why we're going to do the Q&A later. So I'm going to ask these ladies to exit the stage and give them a round of applause for their great